right, let's have a look. I've not seen this guy's channel before. It's a very, very small channel, 1.6k subs. Who's actually friendly Geordies again? I've heard of him mentioned in Discord. He is a Australian political commentator. Yeah. But let's have a look at this one. I'm begging you, don't replace scrolling with this. Let me guess. Is it watching 12 hours of Twitch streams a day?
So you had social media off your phone for weeks, maybe months.
Good plan. I try to avoid it. I don't think do I have? I have Messenger logged in. Maybe. Do I have anything else logged in? I think it's just Messenger I've logged in on my new phone. Do it. It's good for you. Oh, YouTube obviously as well. And to be fair, I watch too much YouTube, so.
That spark that you had in the beginning is now starting to fade. You don't feel motivated anymore. You feel like you don't have nothing you want to do. And you're contemplating whether to download them apps again.
Yeah, that's the problem, right? When you were younger, you're like, you managed to fill your time doing things you enjoyed. When you replace filling things with with what you enjoy with the void, and then you leave the void, you're like, how did I fill this time? Let me re-enter the void. I want to doom scroll again. I have too much free time. It like drags you back in, not because, So the thing with social media addiction is people aren't getting a dopamine hit necessarily. It is a lot of it is like, you're scared to be alone with your own thoughts. You don't know what to do when you're just existing. I have too much social media, but even old school PHP, BB will get me mega distracted.
Yeah. The thing is, most people that delete social media from their phone, they focus on today. They focus on getting free from the scrolling, the need of a fresh start, and the energy everybody...
I will say that I have a bad habit. Like, I've cut down the platforms I use, but I do have a bad habit of just opening up Twitter on my computer when I'm just doing, like, I'm watching a video or something. I'll sometimes just have Twitter open in the background and just scrolling. This is a problem I need to deal with.
One is talking about that they get the creative energy that they get after deleting the apps. That's exactly what I thought and I felt when I deleted the apps over 10 months ago. But what happens when that spark fades? The discipline now has to carry what motivation no longer can. This is the moment when the real test starts. And it kind of arrives slowly, like with no warning, on just a...
Is it like Swedish? Or Danish? Something... His name's Lars. He's definitely from that region. Norway. Close enough.
Regular Tuesday, there is nothing to do, you don't want to be creative, you don't want to read that book, you don't want to do whatever.
I would highly recommend, here's a suggestion for any of you that struggle with getting to sleep. But don't just sit there watching like videos on your phone in bed. Get a book. Doesn't matter what the book is. Fucking read whatever you want. Read some random novel. Read the Bible. Whatever you happen to want to read. Read the fucking C programming language by Brian Kernighan if you want to. Just read a book before you go to bed. It will like help you sort of shut down. It'll get your eyes sort of more like less acclimatized to like the blue light, and it will certainly help.
You want to do nothing. And I've been through that. I still feel that sometimes, now 10 months in. So I want to share what I've learned, including the mistakes that I almost made, which a lot of people make when they delete the apps. And I will tell you the one thing that actually helped and made me stay off for now 10 months. And so in the first video, I talked about the first week. So you can watch that here if you want to start there. I felt spark, I felt energy, I felt restless, every feeling you could feel. And I could use that energy to create, but motivation comes in waves, right? It rises and then it levels out. And so when that motivation left, I was left standing in something I wasn't prepared for. It was kind of like a feeling that I was missing out on something. I can't explain exactly what.
Yep. Yep. And this is especially true if you're younger. If you're someone in like high school right now and you're not, I'm sure, I know some of you guys are around my age, and I'm sure it's only gotten worse since more people have been online. There was definitely a part of, hey, if you're not watching all the big YouTube videos, you're not following the big meme trends, you're sort of like, you're being left behind. Now, as an adult, that's less of a concern, right? But there's still something to that where if you don't know if you don't know the things that your friend group is involved in, it can feel like you're not really participating, I guess. At least 2 books on that list I'd like to read some of. The books I listed out were the Bible and the C programming language. So, sure, yeah, read them both. Probably worth your time.
But I just had this feeling that I was missing out. And I had a pull toward a feeling of kind of replacing that. And so to understand how to meet those feelings so you don't download them apps again, we have to look in behavioral psychology and see what researchers talk about when it comes to scrolling. There is a pattern researchers have observed in behavioral change. When you change a habit.
On that note, my understanding is with social media, again, it's less of a dopamine thing. It's actually more of like a obsessive compulsive thing. A lot of the time, you don't even realize that you are doing it. It's just like, it's a thing you do, right? You sit down, I'm sure a lot of you are like this. You sit down to take a shit. The first thing you do is take your phone out. Look, we can pretend that we don't, but it is a habit that a lot of us have. Or you sit down to have a meal and you put a video on in the background. This isn't something you even necessarily think about. It's just a thing that you do.
For another one. And it's the honeymoon phase. It's a period right after a significant change. It's when motivation is high and your identity kind of feels renewed. And the new behavior kind of feels effortless. Like quitting social media, starting a new habit. When you say that you're going to start working out and the first few times it's like, yeah. And so
I would disagree on that comparison. First time is like, yeah. Second time is, oh my god, my bones. I want to remove my bones. Third time, usually a bit better.
So the first few weeks carry its own momentum. And this is kind of normal in the beginning of change. But then it don't. And for some it stays, others it's weeks, and for some it's months. And so what replaces that momentum, if anything, is discipline. And discipline feels completely different. And it's kind of harder to tie it into this habit. So it doesn't come with the same sense of forward motion. And so for me, this showed up in my creative work. Like in the beginning, it was easy. I was creative. I felt a boost. So I was filming, I was writing. But then suddenly I'd sit down and write and I kind of didn't feel anything. And I really did.
Yep. There are these days that I wake up to plan videos and I'm like, I do not want to do this right now. It's not like I hate the idea or I'm like not gonna do it, but there's no direct there's no like force that is driving you towards it. It's like you have to have that discipline to know that this is the thing you have to do and then push yourself into it. Because in a lot of cases, right, when you start doing the thing you don't want to do, it usually gets easier. I'm actually like this a lot of the time when I record a video. Getting started for me can be a little bit rough. Actually, getting started on every video can be a bit rough. But then once I've like gotten into the flow of that video, then it usually comes out pretty well. But I will sometimes take 10 minutes just to get an intro the way I like it.
Didn't want to write. I felt flat and my mind started wander and I started to think, what is everyone else doing? And then I felt alone and I felt kind of a lot of contemplating feelings. But that flatness, that feeling has a name, but I didn't recognize it at the time and I didn't know what was actually happening. I actually kind of felt that I was starting to fail the experiment. Looking back at it now, this is kind of where the first real test happens. Because in that moment, I had a choice. I could push through that flatness with discipline, or I could reach for something to make that feeling go away. And almost everyone,
you can
including
give up.
myself, at first reaches for something, and it would be the wrong thing. It can be something that looks healthier, not social media, but something else. And when you reach for something else that you think is healthier, that is why it's so hard to miss it. And that's something else. That replacement is what we're going to talk about next. So when the spark fades and boredom kind of moves in, a lot of people don't go back to scrolling immediately. They replace it with something else. It's kind of, you go on a walk and then you listen to a podcast, and then you sit on the tram or the metro and you read the news, you scroll the news, you listen to podcasts, you look at YouTube while you're eating, you look at your favorite TV show in the
Fuck! He's caught me!
evening, but then you kind of continue and you watch everything, always kind of checking the news. What I'm saying is that you replace it with something else that you have in the background all the time. Always something to fill the space. And it feels kind of responsible because at least you're not scrolling. And maybe it kind of feels productive even. I did this myself, and for a while I kind of told myself that was fine because at least I wasn't scrolling. And I would say that that's okay, but being aware of it is really important. The thing is, psychologists have a term for this. This is called experiential avoidance. And to understand why this replacement is important and how to kind of deal with it, we have to dive deep into this mechanism. The tendency to escape uncomfortable internal states through external activity. So the thing about experiential avoidance is that it doesn't care what you use to avoid it. It can be books, TV shows, YouTube, it can be podcasts while walking. So the content can be different, but the function is identical. It's just the part of knowing that, listening to that feeling, and not thinking that it's a failure in the process, but knowing that the mistake isn't to go back to social media, but the mistake is in those moments is not learning how to sit with those feelings. Because not learning how to sit with the discomfort, then we don't change the pattern, we just replace the habit. And so in the beginning, I replaced the habit.
Yeah, you can certainly, especially so if you're a very time-oriented person, if you feel like you have only a certain amount of time each day and you really want to optimize that, if you're an optimizer, right? It can feel like if you're not using that time for something, that time is being wasted. Even if the thing you're doing isn't necessarily any better than scrolling social media, it's, I have 3 hours right now, fill the time with anything, right? You're not filling it with scrolling, so it's you think it's better, but you're also not doing the thing you want to enjoy. And it's fine, right? If you're filling that time with, if the thing you truly want to do is sit around and watch YouTube videos or sit around and watch a series, hey, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But you have to ask yourself, are you filling this time or are you doing what you want to do? And a lot of the time you're going to realize that you're just sort of trying to take yourself out of the moment.
With a lot of external things, then I just had to learn how to sit and how to be and how to invite that boredom in. And in that, there is magic. And this was the part that took me the longest to understand. The discomfort kind of isn't a problem to solve. The discomfort is information. The question is if you're willing to sit with that discomfort long enough to hear what it's about to say. Because that is where the value is. If this resonates, hit subscribe. All it takes is a drop of curiosity to change your life. And it starts with taking back your attention. Let's start that conversation. So I have to be honest with you about something. So I still pick up my phone and I feel that itch to scroll now, even though it's 10 months in. So the habit is still there. I take out my phone, I unlock it, there's nothing there, I look at it and then I put it down. But something is now starting to change for me because I am practicing this. It's kind of...
Now you're actually aware of the habit. You're not just doing it. You're doing it, but you also know you're doing it.
It's like just slowly building. So I'm just learning to sit with the discomfort when that discomfort comes instead of just immediately doing something. Sitting with that, listening to that, and
something that personally bothers me is when I see a group of friends out going for dinner or whatever. It's like, you know, you got a group of like 6 people there, and every single one of them is just staring at their phone the entire time. Like, why are you out with your friends? Like, I'm not going to tell you how to live your life and how your friend group should operate, but like, what are you doing, right? It's one thing if you like check it because, you know, you sent a funny meme to the group chat, but you just see them there for like 30 plus minutes, never interacting with each other.
Inviting that in, and through that kind of redirecting the focus to what I really need right now. Sometimes that is reaching out to friends. Sometimes that is eating whatever I want that day. Other times it's just going to the gym. And sometimes it's just
something I need to get back to.
Just fucking be. That discomfort, that boredom, that silence, that emptiness is actually direction. When we stop filling every quiet moment, we will invite something new in. So what do you actually want to do? What would you change about the way you're living your life if no one would be watching? There is actually a name for this mental state that neuroscience has named. So when the brain isn't focused on any external tasks, so when you're not consuming or producing or anything, when you're just existing, the default mode network activates. I've talked about it before, I'm going to talk about it again. It's the part of our brain that makes sense of life, and it needs time to just be. So we can barely access it while listening to podcasts, while reading, while doing anything, and that part in our brain needs time to be. And so that place only opens in quiet, because in quiet I have learned is not anything to survive, it's learning to be. But that's the first real test, whether you can tolerate your own company long enough to find out what's there. And so what I found once I stayed long enough, it really surprised me, and it really wasn't anything I had expected. And it actually was feelings that was a lot harder for me to navigate and to meet. And that was actually loneliness. The feeling of being alone and the feeling of not really feeling that anybody sees me. But that feeling and how I'm navigating that is what I'm going to talk about in the next episode. And so the real test isn't about willpower, it's about tolerance. And we need to learn to tolerate our own feelings. And so when the spark fades, discipline will have to carry whatever is happening with you. And so you will have to ask yourself if it's worth it. Do you really want to know yourself, or do you just want to fill that void with something else and go about your day and live your life on autopilot? Because that's what we're doing. But right now, I'm still trying to find that out, even though it's kind of 10 months in. But it's a journey I am willing to take. And so that's it for now, I would say. See you in the next episode.
That was a good video. I did not know what to expect from that, but that was actually really good. Is this gonna be like the walking video where I watch it and then reevaluate my life? Is that what's gonna happen here? Because that is what encouraged me to start actually going for walks, basically, like pretty much every day, get in like 10,000 steps a day, which I've been mostly doing for the past month or so. There was a brief period where I stopped for a bit, but mostly doing. I don't know, what do you guys think of that video? I personally had fun with that. I thought it was good, but what do you guys think? Where did my Discord window go? Oh, it's over there. Okay, cool. God.